Hello everybody, welcome to the new channel. This one specifically is called the Unfiltered Life. It's not necessarily a vlogging channel, but it's more one where I'm able to share not only my independent thoughts, talk more about, I don't want to say about myself because I feel like that just sounds very self-conceited, but share experiences, maybe help a few people along the way, or just give people also the opportunity to have their own platform, have independent talks, or have conversations, or have me talk about certain things. I'm not the utmost expert at everything. I know that I have a lot of things to learn, but I've been through a lot of life experiences. I've been through a lot of things. I've worked a lot of places, and I have a lot of personal stories. Again, this isn't necessarily like a vlog sort of format. I guess it kind of is, but I don't entirely want it to be just where I'm walking y'all through my day-to-day. I want to be able to have sort of those deep conversations, and again, give individuals the ability to not only reach out to me, whether that's through comments, whether that's through Instagram at the Unfiltered Life or Unfiltered Gaming. I'm sorry, not gaming, that's the secondary channel. But the Unfiltered Company, that's more of the parent channel, the one that controls both YouTube channels, and where I'll be posting updates. Again, I want to give people the ability to speak to me, but of course you have to know a little bit more about me before you kind of even care enough to share certain things with me, or to even post or even watch this video. I'm not someone that is famous where you just know my name, or I'm not someone that, if you know me, you probably in my past, to be entirely honest, you probably don't have a positive connotation of me. But over the years, high school wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it was 7-8 years ago. So many things have happened to me since high school, or even since senior year. Been through a lot of trials and tribulations, enough to the point where, people ask me, like, how are you still okay? Or why don't you write a book? Or why don't you write poetry? Or why don't you talk to people? Why don't you create a podcast? Why don't you? And that's kind of why I originally created the first channel, which was Unfiltered Podcast. I wanted to have the ability to not only share my experiences, but also just talk to people, practice how to share thoughts. But a lot of stuff was happening during that time. A lot of stuff was taking me away from doing channels, doing YouTube videos. And I tried getting into gaming a bit. It's still something that I do. That's something that I created or turned the first channel into sort of a secondary channel for. But I expect to be posting a lot more on this one. So again, to learn about me a little bit more. So my name's Nathaniel Salazar. I'm sorry, I'm driving because this seems to be the only free time that I have. So my name's Nathaniel Salazar. I'm almost 20. I'll turn 20 in another month and a half. And I know that is something that turns a lot of people off. They go, okay, well, what the hell does this 19-year-old have to talk about that I would want to give a fuck about, right? And I entirely understand, because I sort of have the same rationale, but the reason being is because I've yet to meet 20, or even a majority of the time 25, 30-year-olds that have the same experiences as me. I've been a lot of places. I've done a lot of things. I'm not, someone that's very connected, but I have a few connections. I've built a few things, and I'm already sort of on a life trajectory that hopefully works out, right? So I graduated high school 2 years ago, because it's June now, so in a week it'll be 2 years. Wow, it's only been 2 years. I started working when I was 15. I worked at Chick-fil-A for about 2.5 years. And at Chick-fil-A, I got fired. And I got fired because, one, I was very social but not likable in my thoughts, my beliefs, and how I talk to people certain times, especially when I would get in my work zone. When I would get in my work zone, everything would be firing on all cylinders, but my patience goes to the absolute minimum it could be, which makes me a better worker, but it makes me a worse teammate. It makes me someone that people don't like talking to, and it makes me someone people don't like conversing with. And so, especially back then, I wasn't very, I don't want to say I'm the most likable person now, but I would like to believe that from 15, 16, 17 that I've learned a lot more things. I worked there for 2.5 years, and then at the start of 2024, I got fired, and I started working at Walgreens Pharmacy. I worked there for 7 months, and then I got let go. At my store, there was a few people that were getting let go. Hours got reduced. Then hours weren't guaranteed. You weren't guaranteed to even hit above 30 hours or 25 hours, so I got let go. I was looking to get transferred stores before I got let go, but because I was the least seniored or tenured person there, I wasn't first on the list to be transferred, and they ended up picking someone else who had been working there, I believe, 3 or 4 years, to be able to take over what we call a hitter, which is someone that works half in the pharmacy and half on the floor. So anyways, I got let go 4 days before my birthday, right? So this was July 16th. I was born July 20th. Then July 29th, I got a job I had applied, after I got let go from Walgreens, I had applied at security service. I got an interview, and they sort of skipped the time it takes to be able to get back to you and everything like that. And the branch manager there said, you know what, based on this interview, I feel confident enough to be able to do this. I'd like to welcome you aboard as long as you're willing to take the position. I said, of course. Got hired in the room. This was July 29th. And then 3 hours later, Frost calls me saying, hey, you had your interview already. We'd like to, instead of giving you a part-time position, we'd like to give you a full-time position here at this new location that's by the airport. I said, awesome, right? So I went from working at a $16.50 an hour job to, hey, now I have a corporate job where I got to iron my shirts and everything, and I got to dress up, and it's $20 an hour. Perfect. I'm a bank teller. Awesome. So I was working at Frost, and after about 4 months, I realized that not only was I not able to work there, I was clashing with a lot of people, but I also was poor, right? So I had moved out on, I believe it was August 26th of 2024. I'd moved out of my home with my mom and stepdad. Kind of got kicked out, mutual agreement, certain things like that. Just realized there was too many problems at home for me to want to live there, but also where it would have been productive for me to live there. So with that being said, I didn't have any money. I had just graduated high school, got my job at Frost. I had been in college as well. I was going to Northwest Vista here in San Antonio to be in business management and administration. And I had started on August, I think 6th or 5th. And then I had started my Frost job August 12th. So I said, okay, perfect, right? So now I moved out was looking to live with my sister. I ended up living with my dad. And after living with my dad, after about 3 weeks of me waking up at 7 in the morning, leaving for Frost, coming home at 6:30, being on my laptop for school, going to bed at 11, or whenever I would go to bed. Sometimes it'd be 12, sometimes it'd be 2, sometimes it'd be 3, whenever it was, just because couldn't sleep. But at the same time, I was also trying to figure out ways that not only could I make more money, but also consistently develop myself. I was trying to write a book, a sort of documentation of my life, but kind of a memoir or an autobiography. But, sorry, there was a cop, so I put my phone down. Anyways, after about 3 weeks, it was August 26th, I'm moving, or August 26th, 27th. It was a Saturday. I moved in with my dad. And about September 6th, September 7th, my dad lets me know. He says, hey, I think it's time we look for an apartment for you. Now, I didn't deem myself to be a problem child. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't go out, I didn't do anything. All I did was go to work and go to school, and that was it. So I was a little taken aback because I thought I had, support. And I did. I don't blame my dad for anything, but I thought I had a little more time until, I was living on my own. I remember that there was a time where my stepdad asked me, what time do you want to move out by? And I was still 15, and I said, well, I'd love to move out by, 20. And he said, how the fuck do you plan on doing that, right? And so now, me being 2 months into being 18, already having to move out into my own apartment, it was definitely something that I didn't feel I was ready for. But it wasn't my call. It wasn't my house. It wasn't my place. So I moved out. I got my own apartment. I moved in September 18th of 2024. And 5 days after that, September 23rd, September 24th, my car breaks down. It was my first car. It was 2008 RAV4, right? First car. I bought it when I was 16. Bought it cash. And so, breaks down, transmission goes out. Fuck, right? So now, you have a free month. At my specific apartment, I had a free month, right? It was $1,000 off, which was enough to cover 1 month, right? So, perfect, okay. I live in Chavano Park, not that far away from Frost, okay. But how do I do this? Now, I come from my family. We have 16 cars. Now, we were good financially. My mom was the primary breadwinner. She's currently a director at USAA. But with that being said, it is September 23rd. My car was in her name. I didn't have any money. So in the 16 cars, I had 1, my sister had 3, and my mom and stepdad had the rest, right? My mom had, I think, 5 or 4 in her name, and my stepdad had the rest. So anyways, at this point, I don't know what to do. I don't have a car. My sister, instead of helping me move in with her, she gives me one of her cars. Boom. I use her car for a month, and I get into a brand new 2024 Corolla. Now, it's a payment I can't afford, but what else do? I don't have any money. I don't have a car. I got to get to work somehow, and I'm not going to take one of my sister's cars. My dad has 1 car. His girlfriend has 1 or 2 cars, but I'm not going to use theirs, and I don't have anything else. So now it was time to figure out how to do it on my own. So I get into a Corolla. I'm the only person on it, no cosigner, put $2,000 down. I didn't have the money. My grandma helped me, right? And so my grandma helped me with $1,500, and all I could gather for myself was $500. And that was leaving me with $60 or $70, or I'm sorry, $80 for 2 weeks. So I really couldn't do it. So at that point, it's now October, and I can't afford anything. I can't even eat. So I make one of the hardest calls up to that point in my life I'm 18. It's October. I've been 18 for 3 months now. I make one of the hardest phone calls I had to make, and I made it to my mom. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I need help. She says, what do you need? I said, I don't want money. I don't want anything like that. And I was trying to keep my pride intact. And I tell her, I say, if you can help me and just buy me food, that's all I'm asking for, and I would very much appreciate it. She says, of course I can. She starts buying me food, right? She would buy me, frozen pizzas, meals at H-E-B, stuff like that. And that's how I supported myself. Then I realized I need to make a change, right? So I start looking for a second job. And then after looking for a second job, I get a second job, and it's at a diner, right? And this diner, very complicated, not a great training experience. You'd ask people certain questions, they give you different answers. People who had been there 5-6 years, they didn't know the answers, stuff like that. So it was a new program. It wasn't the best program, but hey, it's a serving job, my first serving job. You can make good money here, right? So I'm trying to learn everything. And so then I get fired from Frost. Too many people didn't like me that in the probationary period that you have, they decided it's better to part ways, right? So I get fired December 2nd, right? And at that point, I couldn't afford my bills. Well, I could barely afford my bills, but I couldn't afford to eat. So now you're taking away how I pay my bills. Okay, now, and I have my serving job. So I'm trying to do that. It's December 2nd, I get fired. December 3rd, I started my serving job. And thankfully I did. But at that point, I'm getting paid $8 an hour until I'm out of training. Well, I never made it out of training. So I ended up talking to one of the people who was training me, and I said, I don't understand, we're taking all these quizzes and questions and doing all this stuff, and I'm doing okay, but I'm not doing exactly what they want me to do. So at this place, there was over 250 items for food, and there was multiple stations to learn. So this was pretty much a very complicated serving job. This wasn't a menu that was one side was lunch and one side was dinner. We have breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, bakery, ice cream, the cafe, so coffees. Then you need to learn how to cook everything. You need to learn how everything's imported, where it's imported from, how everything's made, every single ingredient. That way, about allergies, everything like that. And so for me, not having a serving job, I was like, what the fuck is this place? So, but I have a self-belief that I can do anything I put my mind to, and that anyone can pretty much do absolutely anything that they put their mind to. So I said, okay, whatever, let's do it. This is all I have left, so why not, right? This is the only way I'm going to be able to pay my bills. So what I do is I force myself. At this point, it's December 4th, December 3rd. I'm starting there, and through the week, I'm trying my hardest to be able to memorize everything that's on the menu. Everything. It's a Jewish diner, but very popular Jewish New York style diner. So I get to the point where when I dedicate myself to something, I do things that normally people don't do. And so at this point, I put on my robe, right? I'm in my underwear. I have my Crocs on, right? No socks. And I go outside, and outside it's about 38 degrees. And I go outside, right? And I'm walking by the pool and in my robe. I'm sorry, I didn't have a robe. I had pants on, but no shirt, and I had a hoodie that was zipped entirely open, and I was walking around in my Crocs by the pool, and I said, I'm not going in. No matter how cold I get, I'm not going in anywhere, not going into my apartment until I learn this menu for the test that I have tomorrow, right? And so 4 hours would go by, 3 hours would go by. I'm outside, I'm freezing, but I said I'm not going in until I have all of this memorized. So I get it all memorized, I do everything, and then certain things, because I didn't include a specific word or because I didn't get entirely what they wanted for the question, anything like that, I fail the question. And so now I got to retake certain tests, and I'm getting more upset. Then I'm asking people, okay, how is this made? They can't tell me. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be on my quiz. What is this? I asked something like, what is salmon lox? And so they tell me, well, it's this bit in cream cheese. I said, okay, cool. Right, I put that down, and they go, that's not what that is. So now I'm getting upset because I'm like, look, this is someone who's worked here for 6 years. If they can't tell me what this is, then who do I trust? And so after a while of me saying that, I said, I understand that I'm new. I understand that I may just not know. But I'm trying my hardest to pay attention here. This is how I plan on making a living, but if I consistently have to keep retaking these tests because individuals are giving me the wrong information, well, I don't necessarily know what to do at that point. So then they fired me. They said, it's not impossible. I said, of course it's not impossible, and I don't believe it is impossible. It's just I need the correct guidance or the proper guidance. So they said, well, it seems that, at this point, there just seems to be a lack of communication. The people that have worked here don't seem to have a problem with that, and they seem to be able to do their jobs properly. So maybe this just isn't the best fit. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Because now it's December 14th. I have no job. And I just got paid from Frost from the PTO I was on over the holidays. And so I have one full paycheck coming in that would pay my rent. My car payment's not due yet. So I'm trying to figure it out, right? And so I don't know what to do. So I keep applying to jobs, and I get a car sales position at Toyota. So Toyota brings me in. They say, hey, come in December 23rd. We're going to have an interview. Okay, cool. I interview with one of the sales managers. He says, and I ended up hating this guy. Everyone hates this guy, but in the interview, he ends up saying, I really like you. I want you on my team. I'm going to push for you to get this job. I said, okay, perfect. He says, but give me one moment. I'm going to have the director come in, and he's going to interview you as well. I said, okay. Director comes in. He says, I really like you, XYZ. You obviously are highly motivated. We need people like you. We're going to set up the interview with the GM, and we'll let you know when that is available. I said, perfect. It is December 27th, I believe. Interview comes with the GM. I was so nervous about waking up because I have consistently, ever since middle school, had a problem with waking up. That Universal Toyota is in the Live Oak area, right? I live in Chavano Park. So I live about 17 miles from there. So what I do is I drive all the way over there at 2 a.m, and I park at the McDonald's right on the corner of Judson and O'Connor, where it's less than a mile from the dealership. And I sleep in my car. I have my shirt ironed, I have my pants, I have my shoes, everything like that, but I sleep in my car because I said I cannot afford to not get this job. So 7 rolls around, they told me to be there they told 7:30 rolls around, they told me to be there at 8. I said, perfect. 7:30, I wake up, do everything, go inside, wash my face, come back out, get dressed, put on my belt, I drive, right? Get there at 7:40, boom. Early for the interview, ready, everything. I walk in, GM sees me, he says, you're 19, why would I hire you? I said, well, of course you would ask this, but I've been asked this question before. And I'm sorry, I was 18 at that point. And specifically, this is not what I told him specifically, but to pertain to it, I had been asked that question before at security service. And the response that I gave was the reason why the branch manager was willing to give me the position. So he asked me, he said, you're 18, you have no experience. At this place, we hire a lot of 25 to 27-year-olds. Why would I hire you, someone that's almost a decade younger? than the median here? And I had never been asked that question. And ever since Frost, I had never prepared for an interview, because out of the 25, almost 30 places that I've applied, I've been denied from one, and that was actually Cavender Toyota, before I had any experience. And the guy was weird. One of the weirdest and worst interviews I've ever had. It's not defamatory, but it just was, because he was asking me personal questions about my relationship with my parents, and do I have a bad relationship? Do I ever fight with them? What are our fights like? Stuff like that, to the point I was like, what the fuck is this? So I don't even kind of put that as a blemish on my record. So me applying to 25, 30 places, pretty much batting 1,000, and I've studied for 2 of them, right? So anyways, I tell the interviewer, and I say, well, I understand that, my age can be a turnoff, and I understand that me being 18 with no experience may not necessarily be what you're looking for, but at the same time, I've also never considered myself 18, and I've always been more mature and able to handle a higher workload than any of my peers. And with that being said, I'll give you an example. And I was wearing my dressed up polo. If you follow me on Facebook, or pretty sure Facebook is the only other place I've put this. It's a striped polo. I have my Mont Blanc pen here. It's a JFK Mont Blanc. It was actually that sales manager that interviewed me. He ended up going to Japan and buying one. But this is someone that's made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then he finally gets his. Right, so my Mont Blanc is a burgundy with gold, 24 karat gold JFK, that costs about $1,000. After tax, it's a little over $1,000, right? So it's a pen, just writes, right? And everyone that's ever asked me, why the hell would you buy $1,000 pen? I just say, well, one, because I could afford it. I was still living at home. I was 17. I was working at Walgreens. There was no reason for me to buy it. But for the people that know what it is, it kind of gives you an in with them. And I realized this in car sales. So I told the guy that was interviewing me at security service, I said, I've never considered myself to be like any of my peers. I've always said that from a young age, I've been a lot more mature than them. And let me give you an example. And I pulled out my Mont Blanc and I said, do you know what this is? And I wasn't sure if he would. And he said, yeah, that's a Mont Blanc. I said, okay, perfect. This makes this example a lot easier, right? So I said, I've owned this for a year. I was 17 when I bought it. Do you know any 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old that has this? Or anyone that may work here? He says, no, I don't. And I said, well, I'd like to think that this pen is more of a representation of who I am. I own it. Should I? Probably not. It's a $1,000 pen. But if I care enough about my appearance, where I'll spend extra money on stuff I don't necessarily need just to fit in or just to be in a higher class, I can assume that during this interview there haven't been any questions on how I've acted or my attitude, or you questioning that I may even want this job. He says, no, there hasn't. And I said, well, perfect. I'd like to use that as an example of why I believe that I'm ahead or better qualified than any other 18, 19, or 20-year-old that may walk in. You can see this in my attitude. You can see this in the things I buy or in how I present myself. And I care very much about how I present myself. And if I care very much about how I present myself, I'm going to care very much about the work I do. And I'm going to care very much about how I am towards your clients and your client base and my customer service. And he said, I can see that. And he started smiling. And then he told me, well, considering that, I feel that me and this was in an interview with two people, me and this person who was the assistant manager, feel confident enough that normally we don't do this, and normally we have you come back either for a second interview or about a week, and then we'll give you a response. But I feel that we're confident enough that we'd like to hire you now. I said, perfect. I'd love to be able to, work for your company. So anyways, the GM asked me the same question. And I didn't use the exact same thing on him, but that would have been funny if it worked. So what I told him is, I'm broke right now. And I feel that I'm able to do anything that I put my mind to. I feel that if you give me an opportunity, I won't let you down, and I won't let myself down, because one, not only do I have everything riding on this, but two, I work better when I'm under pressure. And he said, fair enough. Get with my secretary. We'll get your start date. I said, okay, perfect. Go with the secretary. I start January 5th, right? So I go into the new year. I don't have a job. It's entirely commission-based. I have no idea what I'm going to do, right? And I'm struggling. So this is January 5th. Or, I'm sorry, I think January 6th was Monday. January 6th, 2025. And I'm struggling. I don't know anything about sales. I don't know anything about Toyotas, as in the new Toyotas. In our 16 cars, all of them were Toyota or Lexus. We had one Dodge, which was technically my first car, but it went to my sister. It was a Challenger. But all of them were old cars. Two FJs, two 4Runners, a 99 and an 04 with the V8, a 98 Land Cruiser with the V8, Lexus LS 430, SC 430. Wow, it's been years since I've seen these cars. But anyways, everything like that, the RXs, two RXs. So I don't know anything about new cars. I was so uninformed to the point that I thought Toyota dealerships sold brand new Lexuses, right? I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I'm studying because I realize I have everything riding on this, right? I'm doing the exact same thing, walking out by the pool, it's cold, wandering the streets, just trying to study everything possible about horsepower, engine type, design, everything like that, the new generations. And then I get there, and I spent a lot of my time trying to figure out the Lexuses. And then I get there, and I realize there's no fucking Lexuses, right? So then I was like, what the fuck, right? I should have came here. I should have done more preparation. I shouldn't have been this stupid, whatever, right? Especially me being poor. I have $80 to my name, and we get paid every week. Every Tuesday, we get paid, but I got paid every Monday morning, right? So I walk in, I don't know anything about car sales. It seems so complicated. There's too many documents. How am I going to do this? I don't know, but I have to, right? So this is January 5th, right? And obviously it turns out January and February, the worst months to be in car sales. Apparently the slowest months ever that have always been consistent is January and February, because no one wants to buy a car right after the holidays, right? December, best time, Toyotathon, whatever, right? That in March or April. So, because of tax returns. And I go, okay, fine, right? So, at least I think tax returns, yeah. I just did my taxes. So, anyways, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know, right? I'm scared. And I'm having to split every deal because I don't know how to negotiate. I don't know anything about the cars, especially on the pre-owned side. I don't know anything about any of these cars. I'm 18. I'm inexperienced. I don't know what to do, right? So I make $1,500 in January, right? Now in car sales, that is fucking dog shit, right? So, and I did that over 6 half deals, right? So overall, if it was full deals, it would have been $3,000, right? Now I need to make, at this point, I needed $1,500, and I made like $1,560, right? So perfect. Now I have $60 going into December, and I need to make $2,500 because my bill's $2,500 a month, right? And I make $3,000. And so now going into March, I have $500 to my name, $400 to my name. I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm getting better at this now. Hey, I'm gonna batten down the hatches. I'm gonna figure this out. in January and February, I only did half deals. I need to figure this out. I need to only do full deals now because I'm leaving commission on the table and I can't afford it, right? I need to make more money. So March 1st, I say, you know what? Entirely this month, it's only going to be full deals. I only can do full deals. That's all I'm going to do, right? Okay, perfect. So March 1st, I get this customer. His name's Jason Taylor, right? And I remember that because of the Miami player. So his name's Jason Taylor. He wants a 1794 lifted, whatever. But he doesn't seem too interested, but he's there. I'm trying to talk to him a little bit. I know a little more how to navigate these scenarios because he keeps telling me he's not buying, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, right? So then, but he's asking me questions about this one truck that he really likes. And I'm like, I have to get someone involved because he's asking me questions about shit I don't know. About warranties, about how much the warranties cost. And we're not supposed to know that because we're just told, just learn how to sell the car, right? Don't worry about anything in the back because don't fuck anything up for your finance guy because he needs to make his money as well. So, okay, cool. So I'm trying to figure out, there's only so many times that I can tell him, that's going to be a question for finance. That's going to be a question for finance. Before he's like, you know what, I'm good, right? So I tell him that because he's saying, you know, it has an upgraded lift rims, tires. It costs $11,000 or a $10,000, right? Obviously, that's highly marked up, but that's what we put it for. So, okay, cool. So then he says, what brand are these rims? Because they're gold, right? I said, I'm not entirely sure, but I know that we do it at our shop down here. He says, okay. He says, so these are obviously oversized. Do they void any warranty? I said, not that I'm aware of. He says, well, do they come with any warranty? I said, I'm not entirely sure, but we have these warranties available, right? That come free with the car because it's brand new. He said, okay. So can I get a spare that is the exact same as these? I says, I can check with my manager. He says, okay. Then he says, oh, well, what type of warranty is available on the lift? And I'm like, that'd be something that I can either ask my manager or talk to finance about. He's like, okay, well, what about this warranty? Well, what about this warranty? Well, can you add a bed cover? Well, and I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like, I don't know these things, right? And they seem pretty basic. But once you mention warranty, unless it's one of the ones I listed for it being a brand new car, I'm not supposed to know, right? And I'm 2 months in, starting my third month. So I'm like, I don't know, right? I'm 2 full months in. So after a while, I see Isaac. Isaac is hopefully more than, at least according to the conversations me and Isaac have had, I feel confident enough to say that he's my future business partner. So Isaac, my future business partner, he tells me, he's walking around and he's a very nonchalant guy. I love Isaac. Favorite guy. So I look at Isaac and I go, Isaac, yeah, right. And I'm trying to like not point to the customer, but customer's asking me things and I'm trying to like kind of avoid the questions and try to slide Isaac in. And so then I'm like, all right, fuck it. I walk up to Isaac. I'm like, hey, Isaac, this guy has a lot of questions. I don't necessarily know how to answer them. If you could help me out, I'd appreciate it. Because, whatever, right? He says, I got you. Isaac closed the deal because he knows fucking everything. Isaac's been in the game at this point 20 years, right? So Isaac knows everything. He's a realtor, sells houses, has his own agency, everything like that. So I'm like, okay, obviously this guy's successful. He's been in car sales for 20 years. He knows what he's doing. Or 18 years, 20 years, whatever, right? Isaac closes the deal, right? So, perfect. I go, okay, well, I planned on only doing full deals, but hey, a deal's a deal, right? Get that? Then I finally get this guy. He is a retired dental surgeon, and he's a retired teacher for a dental surgeon school. And his name is, it's been over a year and almost a year and a half. What was his name? It was a weird name. I feel so bad that I don't remember his name. So anyways, he came in. He was looking for this 4Runner finally came in, right? Brand new 2025 4Runner. So he comes in, we negotiate on it. He's like, I want this price. I want this price. No, I don't want this markup, whatever, right? Okay. So I negotiate with him a little bit, and I negotiate him for a $6,000 bump, right? Close the deal. It's my first full deal, because while I was trying to do first full deals in February, at the end of February, it was always for people. I'd have them sign the pencil first try. It was looking to make a lot of money, and then they wouldn't get approved by the bank. So it's very demoralizing, but especially when you're broke, right? So anyways, this guy, I bump him $6,000, gets approved, right? Credit 820, 830. But even that doesn't matter. He's paying cash. So I'm like, fucking perfect, right? Bump him, boom. Everything goes through. You know, he has his check already, whatever. Boom. Deliver the vehicle, first max commission, right? So my first deal made $2,500. Full pop. Now I'm feeling on cloud nine. I'm like, boom, I needed to make $2,500, and in March, I've already made $3,000. I feel so awesome, and it's only the third, fourth day. It was actually, I believe, March 4th of 2025. I'm like, awesome, okay, now I need to keep this momentum going. March ended up being the best month in sales I ever had. I sold 12 cars for $13,000. A little, like $13,500, right? So now I'm 18 years old. I have, after paying all my bills, about $10,000 in my bank account. And now I'm like, holy shit. First off, it's my first month in sales where I'm on my own. But second off, oh my God, you know, I know how to close people, because I was convincing those people to sign right on the dotted line, and I realized how I needed to do it, right? And I was finally able to have some success, right? Going from, Mom, I need you to buy my food, to my credit cards are all maxed out, my credit's shot, I'm a 520 now, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not making any money, it's cold, I'm outside, I'm getting sick, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm fucking trying. I'm working 13-hour days, I'm getting in at 8:05, and I'm working until 9, Monday through Saturday, every single day. And I did that for the first 5 months, 6 months, before I even had an off day, right? So I'm working 6 days of the week, 80 hours a week, 78 hours a week, and I'm just fucking trying, right? And it's highly demoralizing when you're not making any money, you know? You don't have a guaranteed paycheck. You can put in 80 hours and make $100, you can make $0. So, and I had plenty of those times where I made $0 per week. So now I've made $13,000. I got $10,000 in my bank, and people are like, how much you make this month? And I'm like, oh my God, I made $13,000. I'm feeling awesome. It's my first month in sales. I can do this. You know, finally, you know, God's helping me, whatever, because I've been through so much shit, so much depression, so much problems where I got kicked out. Mom and stepdad got separated, you know, a whole bunch of family drama, getting fired again, not knowing how I was going to eat, then needing my mom to be able to just support me in buying me food, me being pretty, not house poor, but apartment poor, right? Not my car breaking down, everything like that, everything happening at once right as I move out. And I'm still 18, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? And now I'm like, God's rewarded me for my patience and my perseverance. I finally have done it, whatever. It's my first month in sales. I can keep this going. I pretty much did all this on my own. Thank God, right? And I'm like, I can do this. So then I'm expecting to have the same exact results in April, right? Doesn't happen. I start slipping into the addictions of drinking, of going out, of doing things that, you know, me at 19 I shouldn't be doing, getting into 21 and over places, doing 21 and over things, stuff like that, and I'm still 18. And so I start going down this road where now I'm drinking all the time, but I'm drinking every day, right? And then the addiction starts hitting in, starts getting worse and worse, where I'm like, well, I'm better at sales when I'm drinking because, the pressure's not there. The feeling of disconnect from my clients not there because now I'm able to just have a good time and whatever, and then going to drink after work. Okay, and then drinking, leaving work and then drinking, right? And then going back to work. And then leaving work early to go drink. And then drinking that night while I'm in the shower. Drinking before work, drinking. So then I just start doing this, right? And then my sales and money starts doing this. And then I turned 19 on my birthday. I'm still like, fuck, like I've never gotten back to that 10K month. And this is, 3-4 months after my 13K month. I'm like, I've never hit 10K again. What's going on? And so then I'm like, you know what? I'm just feeling down. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling whatever, right? Okay, whatever. I need to work on myself more. But 19 hits, July 20th, July 19th, go out, black out, and I get robbed while I'm blacked out, right? I don't know what happened. I don't know anything. All I know is I threw up. As my head goes down, I'm outside my car at my friend's apartment. I throw up, and as my head comes up, I start blinking, and it's 6.5 hours later. I'm by the pool. I'm walking. My head is cut open. My eyebrows lacerated. Half my blood is covered in face. My wallet, keys, phone, watch, all missing. $1,000 watch missing. My James Avery wallet, everything. The only thing I had on me was my AirPods, and thank God my Mont Blanc, right? So, because fuck, that was more expensive than my watch. So I'm like, thank God. Okay, well, I have this, but what the fuck's going on? I have a concussion. I don't know what happened. Finally, after a week, get my car back. It's ransacked. The person that stole it. He got caught a few months ago, about the end of the year. So about 5 months after, finally, everything, got my car back, and it just was never the same. So thank God that happened, because once I got concussed and once I got robbed and blacked out and everything, that was the clearest my head had ever felt. Well, I'm sorry, that was the clearest my head had felt in a year, right? Or months. It was like I was brand new, right? And I hadn't had that feeling in months. So I felt so much better. And I was like, okay, well, now I need to actually focus on, going back to work and making money, right? So, and reordering everything. My phone was gone. So I called my mom. I needed her help just with, me borrowing her phone to be able to cancel my cards, report all the fraud, report everything to the cops, stuff like that. Borrowed her car in the meantime, or borrowed the 4Runner, everything like that. And so now I'm like, fuck, I need to get my head in the game. I look like the Elephant Man, like literally huge ass bump here, lacerated eyebrow, blood all over my face, throw up all over me, right? I'm fucked up. So I get my head in the game. I clear my head after about a week. All the swelling's gone. I'm back at work. Well, 5 days. Swelling's almost entirely gone. It's not entirely gone, but it's enough gone for me to go back to work. So get back to work, start making a little more money, get my head in the game again. I start hitting those 13-hour days again, and it kind of stays the same. It kind of increases, my money, whatever. I'm not struggling for money, but I'm not thriving, right? So August hits, and I get my mom this car, help her with securing it. It's a brand new 2025 Lexus RX, 700 miles on it, got traded in. Right, perfect. Get her a brand new 2025. She loves that car. Help her a bit, whatever, do what I can, just because, she was there to support me. So I want to be there for her, but I'm also in sales, and I don't know how it's going to go, right? And then September hits, make $8,000. Actually, I made 11 grand. The next month hits, I hit 6 grand. Next month, 5 grand, stuff like that. But I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on, because I'm making this money and I don't know where it is. Like, in the month I hit 11 grand, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm like, I haven't gone out. I haven't done anything. What the fuck is going on, right? I don't know. So I trade in my truck. I trade in, I get a car. I get a truck. So all this to say that I end up going down this path, get a lot of trials and tribulations, but I should have said this in the beginning because it went on to who I am, right? So currently, right now, I work full-time security. I'm 19, I'm almost 20. I make about $8,000 a month doing security, which puts me at about 98,000, 99,000. I almost make six figures, right? Before this, I made 60 grand in car sales, mid 60s in car sales. I've worked numerous jobs. Before this, just before I started pursuing security full time, I was working for the Department of Defense. I was making $5,000 a month there, $6,000 a month there. Actually, it was about 55 to 60, $6,000 a month. So, me being where I am, I have 4 cars at my own apartment. I make almost $100,000 a year. And the thing is just because certain things happen, either in your life or certain things don't go the way that's planned. Right now, I'm trying to ditch security because I'm trying to build a business and being a full-time electrician and then HVAC and then be the next John Wayne. That's me and Isaac's goal. So, me being 19, I was a trainer at Chick-fil-A, then I went to Walgreens for 7 months, then I worked for Frost Bank for a few months, I worked at a diner, I sold life insurance, I sold cars for a year, I worked for a pizza place as a delivery driver, I worked security, I worked for the Department of Defense, I worked for Loomis, in their coin room. I've worked, where else have I worked? I've worked 2 other jobs. Anyways, this security job, a different security job. I've worked a lot of places, especially for someone that's 19, right? But overall, what I'm saying is that what my problem is, I'll step outside for now. What my problem is something that is called not necessarily satisfaction, right? But I hate that I have this fucking scratch on my truck. Anyways, what my problem is that it's never enough. And the reason being is because for me, I'm 19, I make almost $100,000 a year. I'm looking to, I have my career path where I want to be this electrician and a master electrician and a master HVAC technician. I want to build my own business, everything like that. And I have these aspirations. But what my problem is satisfaction. And that has led me down a path of not only sadness and depression and something that feels like unfulfillment, but anger to the point of I don't understand anyone. And the reason being is because when I look at people, they're not competent. When I look at the decisions that they make no sense. When I look at certain things that they say and certain things that they do, it doesn't make any sense to me. I am a 19-year-old and I'm making almost $100,000. I've worked at numerous places. I have my CAC card, my CAC card, or my Department of Defense card, so I can go on a military basis. I have my apprentice electrician card. I have my security clearance card. I have a security card in order to work level 2. I've worked at all these places, and I'm doing all this, and I have a girlfriend. I have life kind of by its fucking throat. But the problem is that it's never enough. And the reason being is because what I hear a lot of people say is, well, I don't want you to be upset, or why would you be upset, or why would you be sad, or why would you not think that it's not enough? You're wealthier than any 19, 20, a lot of people your age. You have more than a lot of people your age. I have $5,000, $6,000 in jackets. I got $1,000 pen. I got $5,000 in watches. I got 4 cars. I got fucking my own apartment. I have life experiences that, well, first off, aren't legal at 19, but let alone does anyone have. I have all of these things, but in my mind, I feel like I haven't done shit. I feel like, why am I so angry? Why am I so upset at the fact that, I'm saving all this money per month. I'm spending all this money per month. All my bills are taken care of. I can take care of my mom. I can take care of my sister. I can give money to whoever needs it. I can buy certain things for people that need it. I can loan money. I can do all this. But what I've realized is not only when you have success, not only do people want it, but they cheer you on, right? They say, well, good for you. But then when you actually talk to them, then it changes. It's not that it's not good for you. It's just the fact of why. I'm sorry, I'm getting my mail. It's why. It's, why do you need all this? Well, why do you need 4 cars? Well, shit, why do you need this? Well, why don't you feel satisfied? Well, you're making almost $100,000 a year. You're pretty much at $100,000 a year. Why? Like, why are you annoyed? Why are you upset? Why is it not enough? You're ahead of every 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old that I know. You're not anywhere near your age mentally. You've been through all these life experiences. Why is it not enough? And to that I say, the reason it's not enough is because how can it ever be enough? And yeah, it leads to a high level of dissatisfaction and discontentment for life and for circumstances and everything like that. But I think that the difference is that everyone should feel like that. Because think about it like this. If you're a man or woman, right? If you felt what you were doing was not enough to the point that in your heart and in your soul, you said, I need to do more, why would that not be a good thing? Why would that not be a way that you not only want to live, but a way that promotes growth and development in your life? Not only should you be that person, but you should be that person so badly that I don't want to say that I'm the poster child of who you should be, right? I have a lot of mental issues. I've been through a lot of shit. I haven't been through it unscathed, right? But shouldn't that be who you want to be? Not necessarily that you should be fucked up in the head, but what I'm saying is shouldn't you be someone that, in order to be a hero in any story whatsoever, you have to overcome things. You have to be faced with challenges, and you have to be someone that's worth admiring, because no one cares about a hero, quote unquote, that doesn't have a story worth telling. And this gets to the point where, of course, I'm censoring certain things because, one, this is YouTube, but two, TMI exists, right? But for people that have opened up to coworkers, certain people, they say, look, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in, someone that's kind of destined for greatness. But God damn it, if anyone's destined for greatness, it's you. And I'll make a second video because this video is getting too long, but I want to end it by saying You should be someone that is not only not satisfied with life, but actively pursues to be the most capable person that you possibly could be, and the most capable person that people know.